Hey there, Andrew, C1D Paintball. We're talking about another one from the series of editing paintball videos. This one in particular, we're talking about action cameras, just anything to record your footage. Now, as I'll do for a lot of these, is I will tell you what I do and then what other options are. Now, for the record, I actually have 5 action cameras. Now, a lot of people think, well, you mean GoPro? Well, a GoPro is an action camera. GoPro is the brand by Sony, is well known enough that, you say GoPro, you automatically know. I mean, there's a lot of industries where they have that. You're so well known that the name of your product represents the entire brand. So I won't get into that theory and that, but the actual term is an action camera. I actually don't have a GoPro. I have 5 action cameras. One of them is the first one I ever got. I still use it occasionally. It's an Activion 30 frames per second because it's an oldie, and I got 4 that are 8-mins, kind of on the verge of about medium level costing with that. I also use where is it? I've got a phone around here somewhere. I use an old phone of mine too, an old iPhone. And sometimes I even use my current iPhone. So I use all kinds of different things to record. And you can too. Now, I choose to use the cameras I do. It's a cost thing. And I did my homework a bit. And, I did want multiple cameras. At first, I started off just with one on my helmet. Then I wanted a POV back at me. And then, of course, I went to Connor having one. Now, in a world where I've got unlimited funds, and paintball is expensive enough on its own, but if I was rich, I would probably buy GoPros. Yeah, you hear me say that. I'd have a souped up computer too. This one does all right here, but the fact is, it's cost effective to use the ones I do. Use a GoPro if you are financially able or comfortable with it. My advice to you as far as the action camera, because we'll talk about the phones in a second, if you're looking at an action camera, the number one thing for you isn't what can I afford necessarily. The question about affording is, what can I afford to replace? So if I've got a $140 camera, even with a protective case on it, if it breaks, actually, it's not a matter of if, it's when it breaks, is it easy for me to repair? Is it going to hurt and break my paintball budget? And if the answer with your GoPro is yeah, then that's fine. But I choose the cameras I do because of the cost point, and they're pretty decent cameras. The one thing about a GoPro, especially Hero 7 and above, is the stabilization on them is second to none. But otherwise, like the sound is not great on action cameras. Recording at night, again, most action cameras record at night about the same. But if you absolutely want perfect stabilization, you don't have to worry about money, get a GoPro brand. But otherwise, get something, in short, because I'm rambling on here, get something that fits your paintball budget. And these fit my budget. I'm going to talk about the cases and the mounts in a separate video. But the one thing about when you're looking at a camera, an action camera, and a lot of them say, oh, you don't need a case when you go buy one, and you explain, I'm doing whatever I want to, I'm making videos, I need a case for it. A lot of times people think you're talking about because you want to go like scuba diving or just snorkeling, I guess is more like it, because scuba diving you go more than 10 meters, but a lot of cameras are essentially waterproof without an external case on it. And that's great for that, but for paintball, you want something that protects that lens. That's why you got to consider a case as well. I'll talk about the cases in another video, but consider that on your cost point. Mine don't all record in 4K, but then again, if you're gonna upload your videos to YouTube, it's not true 4K that you send up there. So you can still get really good footage if you're doing like 1080p, or some cameras go into 2K and that. So that's something to consider as well. But if you say, well, I want, one of the reasons why I'm going to go for the GoPro is, you know, because of stabilization. Yeah, I got you. That's a good point. But then you say, and because I absolutely want the best 4K, it's like, well, it's not really relevant yet until YouTube makes that step. Okay, so look at a camera based on that. Can it be replaced? Maybe you don't want multiple cameras like me. That's part of your decision. But I've given you the reason why I choose the camera I have. Do your homework. A $50 action camera, brand new, off of some website that you got to wait a few weeks for, might not be the best camera. Go out there and do your homework a bit. Look at reviews, real reviews people do. Maybe you're like me, like when I got my drone, I got a low-end drone. Well, not the cheapest, but close enough to a lower-end drone, because I don't care if I break it. With videos, if you're investing like a few weekends, and then after a few weekends when you're editing and you realize the quality is just crap, I mean, you've lost all those games. With a drone, it's a little different. So I'm the kind of guy that may buy something cheaper, and if I like it, upgrade. But for action cameras, start at a decent level and go from there. Now, if we're going to talk about the phone, because I did mention phone, I've got an old iPhone that I've recorded a few videos and POV kind of angles on. It's always POV. This is one of the videos I did strictly POV. This is an older one too. I think it's 2 or 3 years old. Makes kind of a cool angle on it. I also did another more recent one as I record this, the previous season, 2023, where I just kind of put it in the bottom of the bunker where I was in. It caught some interesting angles. I've put up a cell phone like this and a camera like where there's the flag planted. It's capture the flag in the middle of the map, and I'll put it by the flag. It catches interesting angles. I don't think it's necessarily, for me, the way to record like exactly everything I'm doing, with the exception of that first video I mentioned where I was behind an object the entire time of the video and it recorded me. But it's kind of an enhancing thing. It's an extra camera. Think of it that way. The good thing about a phone, though, a decent phone, is the sound is usually much better than you'll get with any other action camera. I do use, like I mentioned, an old iPhone I don't use anymore. I occasionally use my new phone as well, just for little things when I'm in a room and that. But again, if you're going to use, just like when you're getting an action camera, if you're going to use a phone, be prepared to have it damaged. If you've ever watched a lot of Wolf's videos, he goes through a lot of phones, but it goes back to what I brought up before. You know, he's not made of money, but he's got money, so he can afford to replace those phones. Now, there's other ways to record. I saw somebody saying he had like, God, I wish I remembered the link where I got this. But he kind of had a surveillance camera, and he had it set up, and he was pivoting, looking around like it was on. It was by an objective, and it was kind of like black and white. It was interesting, but I don't think you can do this full time. It's an enhancement backup thing, just like, you know, I wouldn't use a cell phone all the time. But you know what? I've seen people with mounts on their markers where they're using their cell camera, and whatever you want to use that's good for your budget, that maybe, like I mentioned a few times, you don't really care about the budget too much, but there are options out there. And do a bit of your homework on it. I mentioned GoPro Hero 7 and up have really amazing stabilization. You might go online to buy a GoPro, and it's like a GoPro, you know, still in box, you know, never used or used lightly. And you say, my God, it's only $120. I know these sell for $800, but then you look and it's like it's a GoPro 6. Still a great camera, but the stabilization, which is just kicks ass on 7 and up, isn't there. You might as well, or you can get 3 or 4 other action cameras, decent action cameras. You know, actually, wait a second. Just about that wrong. For $120, with that Hero, let's say a Hero 6, you're not going to have the stabilization. You might even look, because that's an older model, There's cameras priced in the same range, slightly under even, that have even better features because they're newer. So just do your homework, be careful. You don't have to go get a GoPro right away. Get what's good for you. Now, there's other cameras that I don't have, like run cams and Tacticam, which basically, well, the run cam can be used on your first person, and that usually it mounts a little different on your helmet and such. Again, another video for the mounts. But those cameras tend to be focused on being on your marker and being able to get close-ups, especially Tacticam. I don't have one of those. Would I like one? Yes, I would like one, but there's reasons why I don't, primarily budget. I think I have room for it as far as my repertoire and how I do videos, because I like making videos and doing different things. But those are other options from cameras, and I just happen to not have those yet. So there are a lot of options. Find what works for you. Some of you may be in the situation where you don't have a camera yet, you're watching this video because you're curious about starting to make paintball videos. And my God, I gotta check my chair after that. Maybe I should invest the money I'm saving on my cheaper cameras and get a better chair. Now, if you're in a situation where you're watching this video because you want to make paintball videos, or you're curious and you just want to learn a little bit more, before you rush in, there's a lot of options. Plain and simple, you don't have to go out and spend $2,000 on getting the camera, the mounts, the cards, the batteries, and all that before you know if you like it or not. So if I get myself a $120 camera, look, my second camera I got, action camera. First one I didn't get for paintball. I got it for going to Mexico, doing snorkeling, just having cool angles. But the one after that, I finally got 60 frames per second, was specifically for paintball. It was regularly about $110. I got it for 80. We're talking Canadian dollars, by the way. I thought, well, geez, it's almost half price off. Give it a try. I was happy with it. It was good. I didn't mind if it screwed up because I didn't pay that much for it. Maybe you're in that situation. But once again, if you got money to burn, go right ahead. I'm just a firm believer in not burning it before you know what you're doing. And by going through a lot of the videos that I'm going to make for this series, you got to combine that with this to get the biggest bang for your buck. At least that's my opinion. So there's many ways to record stuff. I've given you a few options as far as cameras. But yeah, again, you can be one of these guys that when you get a hobby, all of a sudden you go all in and you buy the top of the line and you buy everything. You realize, hey, why did I buy a ghillie suit? I just started playing paintball last week, I bought everything. You realize that's not for you. Some people will still do that. And I've seen people do that before. By all means, if you can afford that lifestyle and the strain on your marriage that may put, and believe me, it might, spend money freely, go right ahead. But otherwise, I hope I've given you a few options, just to let you know. Yes, I've rambled a bit, but that's what I do. You can use a lot of different things. You just have to do a little bit of digging. And my final thing on this is I'm a firm believer, better safe than sorry. Get something kind of middle of the road. So if you like it, you know, you've got something that does something decent. And if you want to upgrade from there, go right ahead. And if you got a ton of money, just go buy the top line, go right ahead. Maybe it sits in a drawer. Maybe you make the best paintball videos ever. Yeah, that's it. There'll be more. Remember, if it records, you might be able to incorporate it somehow. You just got to figure out how, whether you're putting a camera on your marker, on your helmet, resting a phone in the corner somewhere. In my opinion, any footage is good footage. Figure out a way to use it, but that's another video. Thanks for watching.